Okay, so I've got the video at 2 times speed just so that we're not here too long. Basically, this is what happens when you land into Jojocotlan International Airport, which is basically outside of the city of Oaxaca. So you're going to go through here, and there's going to be someone checking your customs and your immigration form. They're two separate forms. They're going to make sure that you filled it out and that you didn't make any mistakes. I actually didn't have an immigration form. No one did, because the plane we came on only had the customs forms, and because they're two separate forms, so I was able to fill out the customs one, but I had to ask her to give me an immigration one. So I'm going to fill it out as I'm approaching the immigration booth. Everyone's asking questions, so I get my form. All right, time to go. So last time I was here was in July. That's during the Guelaguetza. It took over an hour to get through customs and immigration. This time was a lot quicker because there was way less people and they were actually working. Last time they only had like one person at each station working. So this guy is basically asking you if you've had a fever or have you been feeling bad in the last 2 weeks. I think they're just doing that for the coronavirus concerns. I don't remember them asking me last time I was here. And here, this is one of the immigration ladies. She's also checking, helping people out. I'm usually pretty good at filling mine out, so I just go and do it. But newcomers or people that don't come that often can get confused. I'm going to use this trash can to fill it out. This trash can is actually for you to throw away any fruits or vegetables or anything that you're bringing from another country, because you can contaminate the locals, if you bring a disease, a plant disease or anything. So there's a lot of farms around the area. All right, so I'm filling mine out, and I came in at, I think, 8:30 at night. So by the time I get through with all of this, it'll be past 9 o'clock. And of course I came with I believe it was American Airlines, so they're always, slow in my experience. So they were late as usual. I was supposed to be there by 8. All right, finishing up this form real quick, time to go. So the first booth you go through is immigration. It's this guy, and I'm not supposed to record him, so that's why I'm trying to avoid focus on him. But basically you present your documents, and it's basically your passport and that cardboard form, which is the immigration form. He's going to stamp your passport, and give you back the little square piece. I did a video on that. You've probably already seen it, on how to fill those out. And it's really nice because I actually have restrooms here if you have to use a restroom. So now I'm actually waiting on luggage. And normally I don't wait on luggage because I never check luggage. I rarely check luggage. But the plane was full and they forced me to check my carry-on. Actually, if it wouldn't have been checked, I would have been the first person to go through customs and immigration, and I would have been out of here. So now I basically just have to wait on this conveyor forever. But while we wait, so the next thing that's going to happen is right there, that machine there, that was an x-ray machine. You have to put all your bags there, and they're going to x-ray it, and then you're going to turn in your paper form, which is your customs form. And that's it. You're out of here. Okay, this is where you need to go from the airport to where the ground transportation will pick you up. It's supposed to be a 9-minute walk. I had someone pick me up, but I would have walked it because all I carry is usually a backpack and another small bag. I don't carry a lot of luggage. And the cab will charge you about 350 pesos to take you half a mile away. So for me, if someone wasn't picking me up, I would still walk it. That's just my personal preference because I travel alone and I don't carry a lot of luggage. If you're with someone else and you guys have some luggage, I would suggest taking the cab. Yeah, it's about $18, but in the long run, you're still saving money instead of using the other longer buses that don't leave until the next day, because then you have to pay for a hotel and leave the next morning. So you're losing time and more money. So I would just go ahead and take the cab. This is going to be the walking route that you take. This is leaving the airport parking lot and walking to the gas station slash convenience store where they stop, the ground transportation stops to take you to Huatulco. Now, on Google Maps, it says that it's an 8-minute walk. It's like less than a kilometer. So, first thing you're going to want to do, as soon as you leave these gates, they will not stop you. You don't have to pay for parking, obviously, because you're on foot. They might warn you, but they won't stop you. So the first thing you want to do is get on the left. We're obviously on the right because we're driving out. I suggest you stay on the very left so that you're facing oncoming traffic and you can see them and they can see you. The bad part about this is, as you can see, there is no sidewalk on this bridge. You have to be very careful. There's not a lot of traffic, but still, there's basically no sidewalk here. I have seen people on other occasions during the daytime walk this, but depending on your luggage, it's probably going to be very unsafe. So after here, it gets safe, which was like, I don't know, quarter of a mile of no sidewalk. Now you're going to continue to stay on the left side all the way. We're on the right, obviously, because we have to drive on the right. We're going to stop at this red light. Again, there is no sidewalk. So if you're carrying heavy luggage or luggage with kind of crappy wheels that don't always go where you want them to go, or they're not made for dirt, or et cetera, you're probably going to want to pay that cab the $17 that it's going to take to get you out here. You'll still be saving money in the long run, depending on when you booked your tickets. But I highly suggest, if this is, especially at night, you got to really think about it. Like, I usually travel with a backpack, so it doesn't really bother me. As long as I can squeeze in somewhere, it doesn't bother me walking. Here's our blue light, so it's time to go. Now, right there on the left side, where you see the small blue light on top, that's the gas station. Right here, right now, on the left, that's the convenience store, and that's the gas station. Right there where that convenience store was is where they stop. Okay, guys, so I'm at the gas station where the passenger van goes by to Huatulco. That's the gas station behind me. Right here, there's a convenience store. It's called Pitico. And basically, this convenience store is where they stop. So this is where you're going to stop, and you're going to flag them and try to get them to pick you up. They will stop if they have seats, but you never know how many seats they have available. So that's the main problem. If you do it during the daytime, there's usually more. Later in the night, when more people want to travel, there's less. And I would suggest coming as soon as your plane lands. And if you want to eat, right across the street, right behind me right there, there's 2 different restaurants with different Mexican food. You can eat there, and just every 30 minutes, just stand by here at the convenience store and check out when that van comes, and flag them down, and you can pay the driver, and if they have spots, they'll let you on. If they don't stop, there's probably not even a spot available. But like I said, daytime, there's more chance. The further it gets into the night, the last one is at midnight, they're usually booked because people like to travel at night and sleep through the ride than be awake through it because of all the curbs and the time. So we'll see what it looks like when they arrive here in a bit. So our transport vans are showing up now, and I just found out that they actually show up. The last one, which is at midnight, well, 12:30 by the time they get here, 3 of them come. So we're gonna say our goodbyes. I gotta say goodbye to some family, and I'm gonna get on. This is our driver. So basically here, he's just checking our names. He never really, like, I showed him my ticket, but he never really asked for them. He just asked what names, and if the names match what's on his list verbatim, he doesn't ask for the ticket. I'm sure if you tell him the name kind of wrong, then he'll ask for the ticket. So we got the two seats that are next to the window. It's kind of like an aisle. The way they have it set up is they have rows of two seats on the driver's side and rows of one row of one seat on the passenger side. So we got the passenger side. It was actually quite small inside. I could barely sit straight without bumping my head constantly. This is really for, I think, younger people to do this kind of trip. We're going to put our luggage in the back. We had a carry-on each, and I usually carry my backpack with me because all my important stuff is there. So it's one of those deals where that's where I keep my passport and battery packs and electronics and everything. So I'm just going to bring my backpack onto the van. And if you notice, they actually have packages there. If you need to get something from and to Oaxaca to Huatulco, they do freight service. It's actually quite inexpensive from what I'm told. But basically, he's setting up our stuff, and we're going to go in and sit in our seats here in a moment. And like I said, this is the last one of the night, and 3 of them will show up. So if you weren't able to get your ticket ahead of time, you can just flag them. And I asked him, and he said they will stop if they have seats. He said usually one of the 3 will have seats. Worst case scenario, you get separated, but all of them go to the same place and stop at the same rest stops. So you won't really be separated that long, only while driving, but not during stops or anything. I'm going to say my last goodbyes, and this is the convenience store and the gas station that we saw when we left the airport right after you take that route, and I flagged it out. So this is basically where you want to be. All right, we're going to go inside, and we got these single row on the left, very small. I'm going to reiterate that. And then all the way in the back, there's a 3 row. And here on the side, these are all 2 rows that usually people try to go with someone they know if they're traveling with someone. And as you can tell, it's pretty dark in here, even with the blue light. But this is basically it. Hey guys, so I'm at the halfway point of the trip. The driver woke us up to let us know that we're taking a 25-minute break. We can use restrooms or get a quick meal. They stop at a restaurant here with a great view. It's really dark, you guys won't be able to see anything. It's called San Jose del Pacifico, so it's the halfway point from Oaxaca to Huatulco. Actually, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 urban vehicles here. That's what they call them, the ground transport vans, and 3 are headed in one direction and 3 in the other. They're the last ones of the night before the whole thing starts over again at 7 in the morning. So the ones that are going to Oaxaca from Huatulco, when they get there, they'll resume at 7 in the morning and start going back, and vice versa. It's actually kind of chilly here, even for this time of year for Mexico. It's probably in the 60s, which is chilly for here. So far the ride has been pretty good. I was asleep. The first 2 hours of the ride is nothing but straights through a desert valley, which is the valley of Oaxaca, and then we've done probably 1 hour of nothing but curbs, and then we still got 2 hours left of curbs, and then another 30 minutes left of straights again before we reach Huatulco. So I'm really tired, so I'm probably gonna go back to bed, but I'll keep recording when I get a chance. All right. This is the actual restaurant slash convenience store in San Jose del Pacifico. They said it was a 25-minute stop. It was more like 40 minutes. The drivers, they all eat because they get a free meal. So they take advantage of that. We were here like 40 minutes. I would suggest if you're going to eat, go ahead and eat. They're going to have very basic Mexican food, which is going to be like tacos, tortas, empanadas. You're not going to get any elaborate meals. And I would suggest if you're unsure, sit close to the entrance so you can see your driver and he can see you. That way, if he's leaving, you can kind of leave with him and he won't leave you. He'll remind you. They're pretty good about checking on their people. The store has everything you would get in a random convenience store in Mexico at a higher price. So they have waters, sodas, juices, electrolyte drinks, snacks, potato chips, etc., bubble gum, candy. So you're not going to get like a granola bar or a healthy thing here. If you're hungry, I suggest just going into the restaurant and ordering something basic and eating and then going back to your transport. So another cool fact I just found out is you can actually take it and stop here at San Jose del Pacifico and the cost will be 180 pesos. And you can spend the weekend here. It's up in the mountains in between Oaxaca and Huatulco. They have a lot of cabins to rent with a good scenic mountain view. And also this town is very famous for spiritual trips with mushrooms. You have to hire a guide and he takes you through this trip. But a lot of foreigners come here for that. But even if you're not into that, you can just stop and it's really beautiful country out here. Very calm and peaceful. It is a little chillier compared to Oaxaca and Huatulco because it's up in the mountains. But I think it's worth it. And like I said, you can just come for a day or two and each way will be 180 pesos because it's the halfway point. You could stop here for 1 or 2 days on the way to Huatulco or vice versa. So basically, that was the overall highlights of going through the ground transportation from the Oaxaca airport to Huatulco. So, would I recommend this to someone? Yes and no. Would I do it again? Probably not. I don't think so. But if it just depends. I was doing it mostly to save on airfare. The dates that I was traveling to Huatulco, the airfare, the round trip was around, I think the cheapest was like $950. So I normally pay 450 average, give or take, sometimes 400, sometimes 500. And I didn't feel like paying that extra money. So I bought two separate, I didn't do a round trip. I bought one going to Oaxaca. And by the time I was leaving Huatulco, the flight prices, they still weren't what they normally are, but they weren't too bad. I think I paid 350 just for the return flight from Huatulco. I didn't feel like going back to Oaxaca to return. But then the going from where I lived to Oaxaca was pretty cheap, so I figured if I just do that and do the ground transportation. I mean, the ground transportation is what? Uh, $18, something like that. So it's not a big deal. If I were to do it that way again, I would take the actual ADO bus. The problem is they don't leave until the next day, so I would have to get a hotel on top of that. But I think even with a cheap hotel downtown Oaxaca and then the ADO ticket, which costs twice as the urban ticket, the ADO ticket is probably 450 pesos if you buy it online ahead of time, and that other one was 260. So we're, yeah, I mean, so even with all that, I would still save money technically. And if I did that round trip like both ways, it would save me more. I don't think this is for young people. I try to consider myself young, and it was kind of rough on me. I was lucky I took a neck pillow. I had a really good neck pillow with me, and it was still rough on my body. It was rough on my back, on my neck. The seats are small for an American. They're short. I wasn't able to film any of the actual driving because it was so dark. Everything was just going to be pitch black on the camera. There's not really a lot of lights on that highway, so everything is pitch black, so you can't really get any footage at night. If I ever do it again in the daytime, I'll do a video on it. But it took 3.5 hours to get to the halfway stop, so that's 3.5 hours you don't have access to a restroom. If you need it, you can use it at the halfway stop. You have to pay a quarter, and you put it into this machine, and you go through a roundabout, and then you get to eat, get a snack, you get a little break, and then you go in for 3.5 hours again. And the funny part is, you end up 1 block from the ADO station, so you end up in the same place in Huatulco pretty much as if you took the ADO. So really, there's no geographical advantage or disadvantage to taking one or the other. You end up in the same part of Huatulco. So I wouldn't recommend it for older people. Like I said, it's rough on the body. But if you're really trying to travel on a budget, yeah, by all means, that's the way to go, because it'll save you the hotel. You don't have to spend the night. So it'll save you that hotel, because you can get it the same night that you arrive in Oaxaca. And it's 7 hours. It used to be quicker. Now it's 7 hours by law. The state and federal highway patrolmen actually made it by law where they have to do 7 hours, because they were going too fast on the curbs and they were having accidents. So it's a lot calmer now. It used to be really rough, but now they've added that extra time. So if they're actually going quicker, they lose that vehicle. They'll impound the vehicle, and they have to go pay to get it out. And okay, well, that's all I got. This wasn't as much footage as I would have wanted, and I wasn't able to get any footage when I arrived because I was really beat. I hadn't had much sleep at all. After the rest stop, these two ladies just, I guess they were rested, because they just started talking and talking and talking, and I couldn't go back to bed. So I only got like 3 hours of sleep that night. And the night before, I had slept very little as well. So yeah, it wasn't good. Probably in 2 nights I got 6 hours of sleep. So I was pretty tired. But that's about it. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll try to get some better footage next time. I am thinking about doing a trip from Mexico City all the way to Huatulco on buses only, and stopping at different parts of Mexico every day. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. You guys take it easy.